back to Free Game. I don't even know what episode. This might be episode 8 right now. We got Luke Nicolette. He's actually the owner of Purple Banana. It's the first acai, which I always mess that word up, the first acai shop in Syracuse. And he's actually my first friend ever. Met him in preschool. So we're going to get started. And so Luke, and you're going to hear me call him Nico all the time, just out of habit. But that's the guest. Where did the idea, inspiration of your business come from?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Just because it wasn't a wake up one morning, I want to do this, let's do it, and start that afternoon. You know, it was really just the journey of life led me here. You know, so I'll be honest, I would have never had the confidence to do this or much else in life if I hadn't gone through some of the shit I've gone through. So, you know, I'll be honest, up until 3 years ago, I thought I was an idiot. Truthfully, I thought I was dumber than the average human. I thought I was less capable of what a lot of folks are doing out there. And so until I came to that realization that...
That's honestly kind of surprising to me because Nico was always like the funny guy. He
kind of seemed smart.
Yeah. That's why it's surprising me because you were always like the funny dude.
You know, yeah. The funny part about that is it probably was somewhat of a disguise, right? You know, like when you're insecure about something, you kind of overcompensate to make sure people don't know you're insecure about that thing.
Yeah.
You know, so that might be some of it. Obviously, I have like an extrovert personality, and you know, I like to have fun and play games and those things. So probably just a combination. I certainly appeared confident. I didn't want to let anyone know that I maybe lack some of that confidence on the inside. So, you know, just dialing it back to where that even comes from. I'll be honest, I grew up, you know, diagnosed ADHD, you know, whatever that even means. I know I struggled with the education system, right? I knew I had a hard time sitting still. I had a hard time doing what other people told me to do, right? Sit here, stay here, read this, eat up my information, come back tomorrow for 6 more hours and do it again, and do that over and over and over again, right? Sit in this chair, go here, do this, absorb this information, right? And I had a hard time with it, challenges. And it wasn't until high school you get a car, and then freedom is an option, right?
Right.
Now it's okay. Now I don't have to show up there. Now you're gonna discipline me, and I learned early on in high school. All right, I skip school. Don't show up, they give you detention, right? This is at least how my school did it. Skip detention, they give you what we called ISS, in-school suspension. So you have to sit in a classroom all day long. Mm-hmm. Skip that day of school, and they give you what we call OSS, out-of-school detention. Perfect. That's what I wanted. That's exactly what I want. I don't want to be here anyway. So I learned that early with my freedom. Hey, this isn't working for me. I can't come here, sit here, and just, you know, eat up the information you guys want to give me. So I basically just skipped school a shit ton, right? Obviously caused turmoil with my family, with the teachers. My mom worked at the high school too. Ultimately, I got kicked out of high school, okay? So
you got kicked out of Liverpool?
I got kicked
out. How old?
I never graduated.
You never graduated?
I never graduated high school. It was senior year. I wasn't... You know, I was a punk. I shouldn't say that I wasn't, but that's not why I got kicked out. I wasn't beating kids up. I wasn't an asshole. I just didn't show up, right? Like, it was hard for me. Almost, before I even knew what anxiety was, it was almost like anxiety driven. Like, I don't want to go walk into that building and sit in that chair and have to sit still and read what they want me to. You know what I mean? Like, and so I just didn't do it. Again, once I had the freedom to not do it. So the education system, you know, everybody around me getting good grades, looking at schools, colleges, and here I am, barely showing up, failing out, getting D's. And then you wonder why I thought I was stupid. That's why. You know? Yeah. These kids are smart. They get A's, I'm dumb, I get D's. You know, that's what the system made me feel. And I almost believed it. Well, I did believe it, right? So I get kicked out of high school, and everyone's going to college, and here I am. I'm the fuck up, you know. I'm the idiot. I'm dumb. I'm not as smart as them, right? Meanwhile, the system wasn't built for me as well as some other folks, right? So I didn't know that at the time. I just started self-identifying as being dumb. Like, I almost sided with the streets to a degree, right? Now, just so you make it clear, my story, everything I went through or go through that I'm about to talk about is self-inflicting. I wasn't dealt like a shitty hand or anything of that nature. I just had a hard time following the herd, right? Like just doing what we're supposed to do the way we're supposed to do it, right? Yeah. Nobody taught me about mental health in school. Nobody taught me about financial literacy.
Well, mental health wasn't a thing until recently.
It's like a new thing.
Yeah, now they have counselors in school and stuff.
Yeah, which I'm completely torn, right? Like I'm not black or white on this, but like is it a harder world to live in? Is that why mental health is a big thing with the younger generation and they're having a hard time with it, or is it they're just softer?
I think they're soft as shit, but I think with every new technology comes extra anxiety because every new technology that we seem to use makes people faker. Yeah. Right? And like you just said, like yours kind of came from feeling like faking it, and I think that's where most anxiety comes from, either not being productive or faking shit. So I think everybody's trying to keep up with these fake lives.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The highlight reel, I call it.
The highlight reel.
Yeah. And even to a degree, I did that, right? We all do it to probably a degree.
Everybody does it too.
Yeah. So, again, I just didn't fit in that box. So when I talk about feeling like I was dumb, I did, right? I didn't walk around saying I was dumb. Like I said, it started with you. I acted like I was confident, I acted like I knew what I was doing. But what I ultimately did was side with, I say the streets, right? I started, selling weed or something, right? Where everyone's going to college, I'm nickel and diamond weed to make some money, and because even jobs, I remember.
Well, I remember you had the college house. Didn't you go to school or no?
Yeah, I did. I ultimately did, and I'll get there, but even like a part-time job, right? I remember working at Burger King or getting a job at Burger King.
Did you really?
Yeah, it lasted like a day, right? Like it was like, all right, you're hired. Here's, we're gonna give you $6 an hour or something, and you're gonna do this, and this for like 6 hours straight. You're gonna do everything we say we need you to do.
What was the pizza shop that everybody worked at that would sell weed?
Yeah, that was like I don't know if I should plug them in. I think they're still in business. But
okay.
Yeah, Sardo's or something.
Yeah. I remember we used to go and dude, it's so long ago.
No.
We would show up at like the pizza shop and you'd like hang out at the pizza shop and like buy your weed there.
Yeah.
Like the owner wasn't there.
That's why it worked for me though, right? That was a job that worked for me because I had the freedom. Like I'm still delivering pizzas. You were there too.
There was like a whole group.
Yeah. So I started selling weed. Whatever, thought I was cool, it was my means for money, whatever. But everyone went off, my circle of friends and whatnot went off to school and had like futures and career paths and whatnot. And I just identified as like, I like that education system's not working for me. And I started siding more towards, okay, I'll go a different path, right? I'll sell weed and whatever. And it got to a nice level to where I was making really, really good money, like more money than anyone around me. Like these,
nice.
Like I remember you used to have all the Jordans, like all of it.
Yeah, that was, that's funny because that was when we were going to SUNY Oswego together.
Yeah.
And so backtracking a little bit, I ended up getting a GED, okay, which was hilarious. It was like the easiest test in the world. Meanwhile, I never went to class, but I showed up for my GED test. It was like I like passed it with flying colors. Had I known that, I would have dropped out at 15, got my GED, and
Kids stay in school.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll keep going. The story ends good.
So either way, I get my GED, and I'm like, I go to a community college, and I just fell out of that, right? Like, it's still not working for me. I still got to show up to class and do the work. So I failed out of community colleges for years and years. Then it was like a switch with me. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm really turning into a loser here. Like, I'm failing out of community college left and right. I'm in debt because I was borrowing money, student loans. So then I was like, let me just flick the switch and try for like the first time, like really engage myself and try. Like, it's going to suck. I know it's going to suck to show up to these classes, put in the work, put in the effort, but I didn't want to like drop out and completely give up on the education side because everyone around me was doing that. They were going to school, they had career paths, and I was kind of the oddball with my circle of friends to like not do that. So I was almost influenced in a positive direction to try to make that work for me. And I did. I flipped the switch. I was at community college. I got good enough grades to get into a 4-year school. Nice. Oswego, right?
Yeah.
I get in Oswego, I fail out. Okay?
Did you fail out?
I failed out.
So when I was in grad school, this is where I met Scott Paul. Him and a group of our other friends were undergrads, like right across the street from where I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had a party house.
So how long after dropping out and like doing your thing did you decide, let me give college a shot? Like how long was that period?
Yeah, it was. I think it took me like 9 years to get a 4-year degree ultimately.
Okay.
So yeah,
a lot of people go to school for 7 years, Tommy.
Yeah,
they're called doctors.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I ultimately get to a 4-year school, and then I fell out again, right? And I got caught up because I was selling just weed, but like at a high level, making really good money. Like I don't know if you remember, like that was like the time of my life, like the pinnacle of my life. Like I had more money than everyone around me, and when you have money at a young age, like,
oh yeah,
and I was eating it up. Right now,
I
would never use money.
House,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Girls,
the whole nine. It was awesome. That
sounds awesome.
Everyone's going to 50-cent beer night, and I'm I'm like, what are we being cheap about? Like, but no one has money at that age. So I fail as Oswego, get back in, fail, whatever. Ultimately, being the drug dealer, I think every, ounce of weed that came through that city came through me. I had a buddy who was pretty high up with this stuff. And so I ultimately just paid people to take my classes.
I think I wrote a couple of papers.
You might have took a few for me.
No way.
Yeah, for
At
sure.
least
I would write papers for people and charge them money sometimes.
And that's smart.
At least the classes I didn't care about, like math, I'd pay someone. Spanish, I'd pay someone. Like astrology, I'd pay someone. But I cared about my communication class, which I ultimately got my degree in. So I actually thoroughly enjoyed all my communications classes and got quite a bit out of it. But to get that degree, I had to take all these other classes I didn't give a shit about. And I just, again, wasn't willing to sit there and learn the shit I didn't care about.
Yeah.
So I paid some, so I cheated my way through college, if I'm being honest. But I got the degree, okay? And so I'm sitting pretty. I got a lot of money. I had just found, I had just met a girl that I had fallen in love with at the time. And everything was really good. And then her and my mother basically like pressured me, like, you got to stop selling drugs. Like, you got to stop. And for some miraculous reason, I did, because you know how hard it is to get out of that game when the money's that easy.
Yeah.
So I got out of it, and I ultimately, again, with a degree, granted, however I got it, doesn't matter, right? Employers don't know the story. They just know that. And that's the whole idea behind it, was like, I know I just need this piece of paper.
That's all you need it for.
That's all.
Get your foot in the door.
That's all I need is this piece of paper.
Yeah.
School is awesome if you actually go to it and enjoy it. But if you're just doing it to get a job, all you need is a piece of paper.
Yep. Yeah. And so, just backtracking real quick, but throughout high school, I had gotten, and I want to bring this up just because it's a funny story with you, but I had gotten arrested a few times. Silly stuff, like just dumb little things, but like...
The Kanye West concert.
Yeah, so I got arrested I actually got a felony, which... I hate it because it's like burglary to the second. I didn't rob anybody. It was like a girl's house who was like, hey, my mom's not home. She's like, just go through the back door and I'll be there soon. And so I go there with some buddies, and we're sitting there on the couch waiting for her to come home, and the mom comes home first. She's like, what are you guys doing in my house? Presses charges. I get convicted.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like 16, spending a night in jail. So I had been through some shit, but I was never, again, like a true asshole towards other people. Just caught some bad breaks and put myself in some, interesting situations to where I could get arrested, like the Kanye West concert.
So the Kanye West concert is actually pretty funny. When Kanye was new, like first album,
like
the album, like 0405.
Yeah.
That was our senior year of high school.
Nice.
So me and Nico were huge into Kanye. So you, me, and who else?
Story.
Chris Story, yeah.
And someone else. Maybe
Gonzo. Maybe Gonzo. Yeah. So I'd take my mom's station wagon, and we drive out to Utica.
Utica,
which is this shitty town. Sorry, anybody's listening from Utica. It is what it is. It's this town near Syracuse that Kanye's performing at. And we're smoking weed in my car. Sorry, Mom, but we're smoking weed in my mom's car, I should say.
Yeah.
And a cop rolls up. We're not even in the concert yet, and smells it, and like he goes, the weed was underneath your chair or something, right?
I was riding shotgun. It was your car.
Yeah, it was my car, and the weed was underneath his seat, and the cop walks away and comes back and gives just him a ticket.
Yeah.
No way.
And Nico goes, what the hell, man? Like, this isn't even my car. and the cop goes, well, either you all get a ticket or just you get a ticket. And he was like, all right, but what?
Damn.
And it wasn't a big deal besides the fact that, like, a few weeks earlier I'd gotten that felony, and I was just, like, basically can't get in trouble again. I think it was like I was going for like this youthful offender thing where you're basically, it's a pass.
Oh my God, that was right after that?
It's like a first offender.
But you can't get in trouble again, otherwise it opens the case back up. So that happens. I'm like, oh fuck, like how am I gonna, So I ended up, whatever. My parents got a real good lawyer, and everything kind of smoothed over, and paid the ticket, went to court, whatever it may be. But So I had put myself in some funny situations along the way, but fast tracking back to graduating school, here I am. I have a degree, given everything I've been through, right? The challenges and all that, the struggles, the failing out. Here I am. I have a degree. I'm back. I'm back where I'm supposed to be, or open quote, supposed to be, with a college degree and go find a career now. So I got a job. I stopped selling weed, and I had good money. I had I think it was like $40,000 in cash, like rubber band under the mattress in college. I move out of the college house. I bring that home, and I just got money. I buy like a motorcycle. I buy a ton of shit. I go on vacations. I went, all sorts of extravagant vacations. I'm just blowing this shit as fast as you can. And then I get into like gambling, right? Just betting sports. And I'm no lie, like $25 a game, no big deal, harmless. Okay, well, next couple of years of my life are all good. I got my girlfriend, we get a house together, everything's good. I got a job. It's a crummy job, but it's a job, again, open quote, a career and everything. Well, fast forward to like 3, 4, or 5 years later, I'm betting a couple $1,000s a game, a night.
Oh, no.
And again, backtracking, I started a journal. I forget the year, but I started a journal, and I wrote in it pretty much, and I still have it. It's like one of those black and white composition notebooks, okay?
Yeah.
And it basically says, like, man, I can't stop gambling, and I don't know who to tell. And I was only gambling like $50 a game at that time, but I basically like knew I had a problem. But I
Our
was
whole
too
area
embarrassed.
was really heavy into gambling.
Yeah, and I even like come from it to a degree. I say that because my parents lived out in Vegas. My pops has a little bit of a history with that stuff. But like he had educated me how to not get involved in it.
Right.
And somehow I just like ran through those stop signs. And so I'm gambling and people know I gamble, but it's no big deal. I'm not telling you that how much I'm losing. I'm just telling you I gamble, right? And so I knew I had a problem, and I didn't know how to stop it. So I just used this journal because, again, I was, as we keep referencing, like, I didn't want to let anyone see me sweat. I didn't want people to know I had an issue. I always, like, wanted to hold myself in this positive light and someone people could look up to and, like, this funny kid, And I always wanted to be held in that light like I always was held, that I was like, there's no way I'm telling anyone that I got a problem. So I used it as a journal, but I couldn't stop the gambling. I was severely addicted to it. And it wasn't an issue when it was $50 a game. It became a very, very serious issue when it was a couple $1,000s a game.
What was your favorite sport to bet on?
Oh, man, I would bet women's hockey. You know what I mean? Like, that
yeah.
wasn't my favorite.
I know some of those. Yeah.
What I'm saying is I would bet anything.
It's Rhode Island versus Providence. I got 1,000 on the game. I got the money line. You're like, what?
Yeah. No, anything you can find to bet on. And so, I would bet, and again, nobody would know. So I'd have to put a disguise up each day because I was in depression. And until I looked up in the dictionary, I truly did this, and this is kind of when my life changed to a degree. I looked up in the dictionary what depression was, read it, and said, oh, fuck, that's precisely me right now. Then I looked up addiction, and I said, oh, fuck, that's precisely me. And I couldn't believe it because in my mind, people who got addicted to things that were like detrimental to their lives were idiots. They were still like, how do you do that? Like, I'm making fun of these people. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, how can you keep doing the same thing over and over again that's ruining your life? Like, you're a dumbass. And then there I was squarely sitting on that situation.
So why do you think you were addicted? Not like if you were, like obviously you were, but what do you think makes somebody addicted to something like that?
Yeah, it's tough. I can only speak for myself and studying myself because I have squeezed these things for like as many lessons as I can.
Yeah, I've watched you journey up basically the last 5 or so, 10 years maybe.
Yeah, and so for me it was definitely like a thrill. Like it was chasing a thrill because I'll be honest, when you got a couple $1,000s on a game, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'd be sweating.
That's exciting, And then you lose, and then you're sad, right? And then you're basically, truth be told, cry myself to sleep. Not just losing one time, but knowing that I had a problem, knowing I needed to stop it, and not being able to stop it. And then when I'd go do it again, then I would be like, oh crap, I'm really done. Like I gotta be done. Like I'm so like I would get. I'm not even comfortable saying the number of how much debt I got into.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, if you bet on a game and lost 2 G's, and you're going to try to bet again to win back, like leverage another loan to win back what you lost,
Yeah,
I was like, how far do you go?
Yeah, there's no end to that.
Negative.
There's no end to that game until the bookies come for you, right? Like before all this stuff got legal, I had like 3-4 bookies, right? So I would run up the tab with one, and the thing is, it was like fake money to me because you didn't have to.
The only name I'm going to put out there, just because he's passed now. Did you use Wheelchair George?
No, I didn't, but he's historically.
There was this guy that
yeah.
ran Syracuse, Wheelchair George.
I used like extensions of him because he like.
And I'll tell you off the air. One of our friends, well, really one of my friends, you know him. His dad took over for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm
he's
not
a
gonna
legend.
put the name. Yeah.
Legend.
He's a legend in Syracuse. Wheelchair George ran
the
ran the
bookies
city.
where you guys are from. Like, if you owed money, and people would obviously need to get that back, who would they choose to? Who are the guys who would be like, "Yo, dog, we need that 20 grand back tomorrow"?
Truth be told, it's not really like that anymore.
Okay.
Like that's like historically, I'm pretty sure you owe a bookie money,
Like
they
the
come
in
for
my
you,
mind.
right?
Yeah.
I think they've eased up. The bookies are no longer tough guys; they're just guys who know how to make money.
Okay.
And when they got to go collect, their hands are tied. You know what I
Right.
mean? But that wasn't me.
Okay.
So you would put in a bet on these apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to put up any money up front. So I could go place a $5,000 bet right now, and I wouldn't owe that $5,000 until the bookie said, "Hey, you got to pay up."
Oh.
So it was basically playing with pretend money, and I did that with 5 different bookies, and then next thing you know, like, oh, I owe this one 20,000, this one 20,000, this one 30. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit. So what I did, and I'm actually very proud of this to this day, but I communicated throughout to each bookie, like, yo, I'm in a world of hurt right now. I'm going to get you your money. And I communicate. I never went hiding. I never ducked. I paid 100% of my gambling debts off.
Wow.
And I just got done telling you that you could not pay these guys and nothing would happen. Like, I wasn't fearing my life. I wasn't fearing these guys coming for me. I just took, I don't know where it came from, but I knew I had to own the misery that came with the decisions I made.
Yeah.
And part of that was I signed up to bet on these games. I'm obligated to pay him if I lose.
That's got to be the key to getting out of depression.
Like, that's like the integrity side like that I
Yeah.
had in me, and I don't know where it came from. I'm proud of it, though, because
Yeah.
I could have ran from all that shit and been better off, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I didn't. I never wanted to.
You wouldn't be better off. You're better off financially.
Yeah.
You'd be
it's
way
like,
worse
it
off.
kind of came from, like, you just, to sleep well at night,
That-
I paid my
Yeah.
debts off. I can put my mind to something and overcome whatever hole I get myself into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's
cool.
what it was like, I can release this financial burden of owing all this money, but, like, consciously it's going to weigh on me still.
Yeah.
Like, that I was not only made those decisions to get that much debt, but was a scumbag on top of it,
Right.
you know? So, like, what happened?
I want to make a quick pivot, though, into this, because
Yeah.
I think that this is super important for anybody listening. It's like one of my favorite things is there's a quote by Malcolm X, and it's like, a man can be a fool if he wants, as long as he's willing to pay the price, right? In other words, like, if you don't own your shit and you get away with it, you're screwing yourself, right? Like we talk about in work all the time, is like, you got to put yourself in tough situations and you got to get yourself out. But you have to, I'm going to use a quote Jesse Itzler told me, it's for an exceptional life, you have to put yourself in exceptional situations, and you have to make it out. So like, I just think that that's super important for anybody listening.
Yeah.
If you're depressed, you're probably hiding from something, or you're not being productive. And the only way to do is you have to face your demons, and you don't have to beat yourself up for your demons. You just have to face them.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of sounds like exactly what
No
you
doubt,
kind
it's
of
spot
did.
on.
You got yourself out of that. You're like, nah, I need to sleep well at night.
And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And so I'm gambling, and I basically hit rock bottom at one point. So, I'm crying myself to sleep every night. No joke. I really haven't said this out loud too many times, but a few suicidal thoughts, like, yo, I can make all this pain go away real quick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the time, I had my daughter. That was the reason that thought.
Oh, so that was recently.
Well, she's about to be 5. So, yeah, this is 3-4 years ago, yeah.
So this is kind of the start of that journey up.
Yeah,
Wow.
Exactly. So, and I'll tie this all together, but depression was the best thing that ever happened to me. But at the time, it was
That's interesting.
complete, like, downward spiral, didn't know how to get out of it. So I hit rock bottom. I'm a firm believer of those who hit rock bottom. That's, like, their opportunity to, kind of climb back up. So I hit rock bottom, crying myself to sleep every night, waking up, acting like I'm fine with my wife and my daughter. they go off to daycare or work, and then I would sleep all day, like just full blown depressed, like, and then they'd come back, I'd put on the front like everything's all good, and then I'd wait for the games to come on, and here's my thrill again, right?
Wow.
And that's the thing with gambling too, is there's always that chance of winning too, right? So like it's not like a continuum, like him straight down. It's like, oh, like,
Yeah.
So so that was my life. And then when I hit rock bottom, I didn't know where to turn, but I had to turn to someone. Like I had to tell someone. So I write this like 7-page run-on sentence email to my father, just straight up, like just spilling it all out. Like, Pops, this has been like 5 years of this shit. I'm at this point with this dollar amount. And I had learned how to use like a credit card to pay off this shit. Like I had maxed out every damn credit card. Like, real quick story, my father gets like a $35,000 limit credit card with KeyBank one time, and we have the same name, right? And so I don't even know how this happens, because Social Security numbers tell you you're different people.
Yeah.
It comes in the mail to me, and I'm like, I didn't get a credit. He's like, well, somehow that got mixed up with you, but like, just keep it if you want, like for security, for security purposes. Just, and I was like, okay. So I have this $35,000 credit card, max that out on top of all my other one, like, just whatever. So, so I write him this email. It's like 6 a.m. I hadn't slept. I'm like, sad. I'm just deep depressed, and I got to tell him. So I write this email. I sit on it for like a few days, and then middle of the night, one night, I just press send. And I promise you, the weight that came off of my just by pressing send. I had told one other person at this point. He's the only one I told. So now I've told one person. So now it was like real. It was out there. It like just released me.
Wow.
Like, now nothing was resolved at that point, but it just released me. Like, oh my God, I just put it out there. I just told someone. Like, because I've been living a lie. Again, not letting anyone see me sweat. No one can know I was broke. Like, I used to give my nieces and nephews great Christmas presents each year. Like, I was a cool uncle, get them cool sneakers, the whole nine. Well, I'm broke as hell. I'll never forget. I had to use like a triple payment to pay for their Christmas gifts, because they shouldn't deserve less gifts because I was gambling my money away. Like, that, I never wanted it to affect anyone else. That's why my wife couldn't know. Nobody could know. The minute it started to affect other people is the minute it was like, because I'd probably be in a gutter right now if it was just me on this planet. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I care about other people, and my poor decisions shouldn't affect them. So it couldn't affect them. I wouldn't let it. So it was basically getting impossible for this to affect the people around me. I hit rock bottom. I tell my pops. I press send. Weight comes off. In typical my pops fashion, he responds with, "I want to help. I'll call you later." I'm like, yo, I just sent you 7 straight pages of my whole life, deep, darkest secrets, and you send 5 words back? I'm like, all right, though. I told somebody. So I get on a plan with him. I meet up with him that evening. He's like, he makes me feel a lot better about it. We get on a plan. He helps me pay off a little bit of debt. He definitely didn't make it go away by any stretch. And I get on a path of getting out of this shit. Now, it wasn't like, okay, I'm done gambling just like that, but it was the start of getting out of this shit. So telling somebody was the lesson there. Like, don't hold your deepest, darkest secrets in.
Right.
Tell the fucking dog or something. You know what I mean? But don't, because in my mind, it's not real. It's not going to get fixed until it's verbalized, until it's out there. Yeah. You know? Otherwise, it's in there, you're burying it. So I get on that path. I ultimately get the gambling thing corrected as far as, like, being done. The debt's still out there. That took years. I probably got debt free from gambling debt like a year ago. Like, it took a couple years. Like, It was quite a bit of money. And so and then I went and seeked a therapist, okay? And this was actually kind of kicked the gambling thing, but I still wasn't right mentally. Like, I still was fucked up, like, lost trust in myself, was like, didn't trust myself to make any decisions after that. I'm like, yo, I just got rattled because somehow I just fucked up my life miserably. I don't know how. And now I'm scared to, like, go make any more decisions because I, like, don't even trust myself to make them anymore. So I got with a therapist and just got on this path of, like, find out who I really am. And that's when the doors opened up. The best thing I learned was there was a ton of messages in my head that were in my voice but weren't my messages. You know, like, go to school, get good grades, make a lot of money.
Gotcha.
This is what success looks like. This is what happiness looks like. This is how you should live. This is how you should act. This is how you should treat people. All these messages, those weren't my messages. People had molded me, conditioned me to think those were my messages. So I was living this life where, like, the gambling thing, that was my means to make money, right? Meanwhile, it was my means. It's how I went broke. But it was like, oh, I can shortcut this making money thing by gambling. That, obviously no. I've been humbled every time I've tried to take a shortcut in life. Like, as I mentioned with the even the college thing, like paying my way. Like, I miss that education. Like, I wish I had gotten that education instead of paid people. It'd be cool to be able to speak Spanish right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I paid money to learn how to speak Spanish.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. So either way, coming out of depression and through some therapy work and whatnot, I basically learned who I was for the first time. At age 31, I like had met myself for the first time, like the real me, not the trying to be cool me, not the this is what success looks like, this is what happiness looks like me. Yeah. This is who I really am. This is what I really want to do in this world.
And it all started when you sent that to your dad.
That was
which it sounds like you were lying to other people, but you're lying to you.
For sure.
I feel like we all can do that.
I was lying to myself. Heavy.
Yeah, you were just trying to cover for yourself. Heavy. Like, other
Heavy.
people would have been there to help. You were just lying to you. Like, I'm not this person.
Spot on. When I looked up the definition of depression and addiction, and I couldn't deny that that's exactly what I was going through.
Do you remember what they were?
I don't want to try to recite them because I won't get it right, okay. But depression was basically something along the lines of, like, no motivation to live. Like, you just, you're basically in the dumps, no passion, no excitement, and then addiction, again, I don't remember what I looked up, but to me it was just not being able to stop something that you want to stop, and that's precisely where I was. Every single day I told myself I wasn't gambling. I would wake up and be like, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Every day for like 3-4 years, I'm done. I'm not gambling.
Wow.
Evening rolls around.
That's a mental struggle right there. That is peaks and valleys.
Crazy how I found myself squarely in the middle of addiction. Like, crazy. I couldn't believe it.
And every time you tell yourself you're going to do something, you don't do it. It breaks you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It reinforces you not doing it.
It reinforces your self-doubt, your self-disbelief, and increases the depression.
And the anxiety.
Because you don't have faith in yourself.
For sure. Lost myself completely, which in a weird way was a good thing because I was able to find myself from scratch, though. Not, you know what I mean? Nice. So a downward spiral is the best way I can like describe that period in my life. Like, I couldn't stop the downward spiral. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and I couldn't stop. I know it sounds crazy. There's people out there who will hear this and it will resonate with them because they've gone through it. There's people out there who have not gone through this and be like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Like,
there's a lot of people who might not even think they're addicted to something, and you are.
Well, listen.
Like, if you have a bad diet and you want to lose weight, and you tell yourself every day, I'm going to eat healthy today, and you don't, that even in of itself is like a very minor addiction, so to speak, but I guarantee you a lot of people struggle with little things like that more than you would even know.
For sure. For sure. Now, listen, that may not ruin your life, so,
not right now.
You may never recognize it, but gambling was ruining my life. Right. I was going to end up without a family, dad, whatever it may be. But, like, the eating thing, people are addicted to
just whatever.
Eating all sorts of shit. People are addicted to another human, right? When they're bad for them. All the time. Everyone's probably even dealing with it to some degree. Yeah. Definitely with the gambling and obviously like some hardcore drugs and shit. But being addicted to those things can really fuck up your life pretty quickly. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we all deal with it to a degree. It's not how honest do we want to be with ourselves, you know?
Gambling and drugs are so dangerous because they're so expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you lose your money and you know it's because of an addiction, you're now not able to take care of yourself, and you know it's because of your own decision.
And then you're starting to do funny things to, and it's so crazy to think about, but like, I'll never forget being so broke, have so much gambling debt, and being like, yo, I gotta rob somebody or something. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna, and like, yo, I'm the last person who wants to steal from anyone right now. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, trust me, man, morally, like, I'm solid as could be right now, but when you're in the gutter and you need to get out, like, I get why drug addicts do really fucked up things to get more drugs, because that's the end all be all, is to do more of that thing that you're addicted to. Right. And you're not thinking about anything else but doing that thing again. It's crazy. I'm not here to debate if it's a disease or not. I don't know any of that shit. I just know it's real as hell. It is. And until you experience it, you probably won't fully understand it. But at the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror and just see, what do I want out of life that I'm not doing, and why is it stopping me? Have the real conversation with yourself, and that's hard. That's hard to do. So
you were going to a therapist. So how does all this lead into the purple banana? Obviously, this is making you who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't just, like, come out of depression, but I knew. So I basically set an agenda with my therapist, okay? I basically told him, I got to get my mind right. I don't trust myself right now. I'm like, I just mentally I'm not sharp. Like my mind's not where it's supposed to be to even do anything else, to focus on my marriage, to focus on my career, to be a better father. All that shit don't even matter right now. I know it sounds crazy, but that shit doesn't even matter. Because if I can't think right, I'm fucked. I can't be a good father. I can't, So I worked with him on some of that stuff. And it was really some deep, like soul searching, cleansing, like some shadow work type stuff. If you guys are familiar with that.
No, what's that?
So I'm not an expert with it, but in a nutshell, it's basically finding out what you don't like about yourself and confronting that, and just acknowledging and just understanding. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like me, and I'm cool because I'm like so myself now, and I got I don't hold back with it anymore. But like, for example, like being short, like I fucking deep down hated being short. I would never tell anyone I hated being short, but like, it bothered me, or like I had acne and shit. Like it was the fuck. So these are physical things, but like it could be the mental things where you could be like a coward. You could just know you're like scared of certain situations, but you've buried it because you don't want to acknowledge that you're scared of those things.
Right.
So it's like doing the work of, let me really find out who I really am, what I don't like about myself, and really just identify it. Instead of burying it, let's just identify the things that I don't like about myself. And we all have those things.
Okay. And the key to shadow work, an expert on this is Kevin. Kevin like gets paid to help people with their shadows.
Okay.
So I really kind of like learned it through him. But the key, and is really what he's saying, is you don't, essentially, my bad, I'm getting distracted. I hear the wedding behind us.
Yeah.
Mike, is there any way you maybe can ask them if they can, I know they're not in the wedding, but so I just know it. Anyways, with the shadow work, the key though is you don't hide from it. What you do is you incorporate it, right? You acknowledge it, and part of it is who you are. So like the key with like the love and light movement and stuff, where I think they lose it, is they pretend that there's no shadow, right? You can't have light without darkness. Okay. So you have to have maybe like 25% of it, and then once you learn how to use it in your benefit, then it becomes huge.
Okay.
So for me, mine is almost like my ego, right? Or my, I'd say ego, like cockiness, which is why I always do things to humble myself. But I don't want to lose my ego, because my ego is why we are where we are with business. Right? It's the same reason I bet on myself, and I'm like, it's going to work out because I said it's going to work out. And little shit like that. But like, so the key is, so you learn what it is, and then you like know that you have it and you can use it when necessary.
Okay. So like if I was afraid of a certain situation, you just identify that. Yeah. And then what, do you purposely put yourself in that to get through it? Is that kind of what your therapist was like? If they work through it with you and you identify a part of yourself or something like that, are you like supposed to conquer that to a degree? Is that the point, or is it just to knowing?
Just the ability to be aware of it is half of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, and each person can do this on their own, but there's things we don't like about ourselves that we've buried that we don't even know we don't like them about ourselves anymore. For
sure, yeah.
You know what 100%. I mean? Like some of the physical stuff that I've mentioned is just like glaring examples, but there's a lot of shit. Like I, for example, acted like a tough guy when I was young. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy at all. But I put on this front probably because I knew I was a coward. You know what I mean? And so like now I'm lying to myself. Now I'm acting like I'm something I'm not. That's just not living true to myself. That's not being aligned. So we all do this, and I did quite a bit of it. So
a lot of people do that though. A lot of people with their shadow, they actually try to pretend that they're the exact opposite.
They overcompensate for it. Yeah.
So like a lot of cowards like would pretend that they're heroes, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to.
It's like overcompensation.
Yeah. But that's usually like a way to identify what somebody's shadow might be. So if somebody's overly trying to express a certain aspect of themselves, it's usually the opposite.
Yeah, just interesting. Introspection.
I'll give a real quick example, but I read Will Smith's book.
Is it good?
It was phenomenal. It was fucking awesome. One of the like best pieces of art I've ever picked up, truthfully. But obviously when he slapped Chris Rock, like, I don't get caught up in the celebrity stuff, but like that put like a black eye in his.
That was such a build up from the whole just being embarrassed about his marriage and that going public for like a year, like because the joke itself I don't think the slap had anything to do with the joke. It was just like a build up, and he snapped and he lost
took it out on Chris Rock.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a story about it, having read the book, and I like to think I'm not the only one who read the book and was able to put these pieces together, but in the very beginning of his book, it's literally like the first sentence or first paragraph, he tells a story about how his father hit his mother in front of him, and he didn't do anything about it, okay? So this is like the first paragraph of his book, and he basically says, I watched my father hit my mother, and she like got unconscious or fell to the ground, and I sat there and did nothing to defend my mother. And he says, from that point on, I forever have felt regret and like a coward. You know, like I'm a punk. I didn't stick up for my mother.
That's a perfect segue from the shadow, right? So he's like over trying to compensate.
Yeah. Exactly. So he knew that his whole life, and his whole life, he basically, his shadow, you know, again, is he feeling like a coward, almost knowing he's a coward. Like he doesn't have that bravery to go stick up for the people he cares about, but he wants to, right? But he doesn't have the courage to go do it. And he forever just like beat himself up about it. So I'm sure, long story short, that's when he was a kid. Fast forward to the Chris Rock situation. But he has done a lot of work on himself to where he basically, I think, was like, well, I'm going to stick up for people now. Yeah. And that was his way. Now, granted, I get it's on the national stage and TV and it got blown up and all that. But I think, or at least the way I interpret it, is this dude is overcoming that shadow of feeling like a coward and sticking up for people he loves, especially women, that he wasn't gonna do that anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, he was gonna do what he felt was right. And so he acted in that way. Now, again, it was on a bad stage.
You got to know the room, man.
But I think it comes from somewhere. It's not like Will Smith is just like can't control his emotion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think it's a deeper meaning behind all of that and his behavior there. Now I'm sure he regrets it in the whole nine, but again, there's reasons why he acted that way.
Yeah.
And again, you know it's important to him when it's the first sentence, first paragraph of his book. He tells this story about not sticking up for his mother. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's something he's lived with his whole life that he talks about in the book. So it just kind of made sense to me, the pieces of, I get why this dude acted that way. You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
And it's a great book. I get Will Smith kind of has, no pun intended, like a black eye on his name right now. But the dude's awesome. The dude's awesome. He's got a great story.
Welcome to Miami. It's a great song, by the way.
Yeah, that
whole album was fire.
Yeah,
whole album was fire.
Rocking, man.
I used to like the song where he rapped with all the candies, the candy names. Like, like you know, take it to the Milky Way.
You could Starburst to my Milky Way.
Yeah, you could start. That song was great. Mm-hmm. I think the song is actually called Candy.
It was.
If anybody wants to go on iTunes and listen to that or Spotify.
Good song. Yep. Yeah. So, just tying it back into like, for me, I did some shadow work. You know, I did a lot of work. Okay. And I was forced to be patient and just finding out who I really was. Like, who am I really? Because this person I've become, this gambling addict, this, you know, job I'm working, this whatever it is, this was all just how, like, I got molded, like, social conditions brought me here, and I never really looked inward. So what I learned, the biggest thing through everything I had been through was start looking inward instead of outward for what my path is going to be. And so I did that. You know, who do I want to be? What do I want it to look like? How do I want to treat people? You know, and I started looking towards myself instead of, you know. So as I did that, I realized, okay, well, I want to do some positive things in the world. I want to, like, have some positive influences. I want to have I want to have fun. I want to enjoy life. I want to, you know. So I was going through all these boxes. I'm like, all right, what checks this box? What checks these boxes? And, like, I knew I could do some good in the world as, like, an individual, you know what I mean, take care of my family, friend, you know. Mm-hmm. But I was like, well, how can I have a greater outreach? As a business owner, you know, if I own a business, I have employees, I have customers, I can have a greater outreach, I can make some money. You know, one thing for me is, and I don't know how it's received, but, you know, just caring for people doesn't always get the job done, right? Yeah. Like, having resources to take care of people is a better means to take care of people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Having money, having a platform, those things, right? So
it's like the Jay-Z line. Truth be told, I'd rather rap like common sense, but if I was poor, how could I help any of them or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And so in my mind, I'm like, all right, how can I do some good? Like, yeah, I can do some good doing what I'm doing for the few people in my life, whatever. But as a business, I have greater outreach, right? And then again, we're building revenue, we can donate, we can do charitable causes, we can take care of people. One of my greatest things, or things I'm most proud about, is just like my employees. Like the fact that I'm feeding families is cool to me.
Yeah, that's
honestly,
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. And I want to continue to take care
How
of
many
them.
employees do you have now?
We got like 15-ish.
That's
Dang,
pretty big.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, it's
How big is
awesome.
the store? I haven't been yet because I haven't been back to Syracuse in a while.
It's 1,700 square feet. So there's for those listening, there's like a staple in our city called Varsity Pizza. It's like your typical like college atmosphere, sell every type of food under the sun.
Are you near Varsity? You're
I'm
in
right
SU
next
Hill?
door. I'm right next
Oh,
door
no
to
shit.
Varsity.
You're on
Yeah.
SU Hill.
Nice.
So I don't even tell people my address. I just tell them I'm next to Varsity Pizza. Everyone knows where I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's like the university, Syracuse University, has this famous pizza spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like McNabb used to go there all the time.
Yeah, anyone who's gone
Anybody.
through Syracuse has, stepped foot in Varsity Pizza for sure. So, so yeah, just had I checked these boxes. Who do I want to be? What do I want it to look like? How do I want to treat people? The business started coming to light. Like, if I own a business, I can have a greater outreach. If I own a business, because I want financial freedom too. Like, there's some selfish stuff in there for sure. Like, I could have financial freedom. I can have fun each day. And then what I sell, we're an acai shop, so we're basically all produce. You know what I mean? For those who haven't had an acai bowl, it's basically a smoothie bowl with, we got like 30 toppings you could put on it. You know what I mean? Fruit, granola, seeds, the whole
So
nine.
where do you import that from? Brazil?
Yeah, so I buy direct from a manufacturer who has the farms in Brazil. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
I buy it by the pallet, so like I'm buying like $10,000 worth of acai at once.
Is that a specific fruit from?
You never had it? It's really
No.
good. It's like a bluish purple, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a blueberry, but
Okay.
it's extremely healthy with like the antioxidants and the nutrients in it. So that's why it's got like this big wave. If you go to a big city, obviously Atlanta's
They're
a big
huge,
city,
yeah.
or other countries, these things
Yeah.
are huge.
I've seen like signs and like I just never.
Yeah,
In Miami, it's huge. In
Huge.
Miami and like South Florida.
California, it's huge, and like they're growing. They're growing.
Yeah.
Like I did my homework, right? I didn't just start this just because it checked all the boxes, right? Healthy, growing industry, like so it's colorful, it's fun. Like it just again checking all those boxes. Morally, I feel good. I'm serving healthy stuff. People enjoy it. I'm on a college campus, like fun customer base. Again, financial freedom. We do a bunch of charity stuff. As we get more successful, I can do more.
Nice.
So that's when I said, okay, that's who I want to be. That's a life that's like true to me, doing good in the world. And it's for me, right? It's not like me busting my ass for a CEO to have like a 5th vacation house. It's
Yeah.
like
How long has it been open now?
just 3 months. So we're still
Okay.
brand new.
You're still brand
you know
new.
what I mean?
Wow.
But like I can bust my ass for like money for my kid to go to soccer practice.
Did
know
you
what I
have a list of things like in terms of like what business you wanted to open? Like was there like these 3 things and kind of weighing your options, or it just kind of happened to be that specifically?
Well, I told myself I definitely didn't want to be in food, and so here I am in food. But it's easier, right? Like it's not like we're not cooking anything. It's not like a full blown restaurant. It's a pretty smooth operation, right? Fresh produce, basically just manipulated to taste delicious and look beautiful.
Yeah.
So I picked this industry again for those reasons. Easy to have fun with, colorful, healthy, fun environment, fun customer base, growing industry, real potential with it. And then Syracuse didn't have anything like it. So like, you go to I had traveled the Northeast and studied these types of businesses and the whole nine. And that's the thing I learned about myself, not to get sidetracked, but like going back to thinking I was stupid. I never really worked hard toward anything, cheated through school, sold drugs, the whole nine. I actually didn't even realize I was capable of hard work. Like I basically thought I was lazy. I'll be honest. I'm like the hardest worker I know to a degree, like that's putting myself in high standing, but like it's just there wasn't anything on my plate that I cared enough about to work hard towards.
Yeah, 100%.
So then I started this business and I was just like waking up with energy. Like let's work on this thing. I had found new energy coming out of depression, and then basically having a goal in mind of something I cared about greatly. It was like, holy shit, you don't have to dread going to work. Holy shit, you don't have to hate each morning. Like you can wake up like excited for life. And so I just rode that wave. I'm like, yes. And I rode that wave for like 2 years building this business. And then again, we launched in January. And it's been an awesome ride. Like something I've never felt before. Like working relentlessly and doing it because you want to. I had never felt that before.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, I can get a lot done. when I'm working towards something I care about with a greater purpose than just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because someone told me I should have a job or, you know?
What's funny is just based on what you told me from like selling weed and the gambling, you're not afraid to take risks. Yeah. So like in business with passion, it kind of makes sense as to some degree why you're probably going to be really successful and like obviously are, but because you've like kind of taken risks your whole life.
Exactly.
But like if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, but you have like a bad like mentality of the world, like your worldview, you can fuck yourself up. But if you correct that, you can really sounds like that's what you did.
Exactly.
Like you took that risk in entrepreneurial shit that I'm kind of on my own path since a kid, and then form that into your own thing.
That's spot on. Because I wasn't scared to take risks, obviously.
Yeah.
And now I was just doing it with real potential the right way. You know what I mean?
Cared about.
Yeah.
That was good for people.
I don't start this business if I don't do the gambling thing, right? Like
Exactly.
I'm not scared to lose money at this. You think
Yeah.
I'm scared to lose any money?
Right.
You got to be kidding me.
Right.
I see people freaking out over like losing a small bet or something doesn't go their way or
To
something.
me, that shows confidence, though. Actually,
You know,
like since doing this job with you, you've kind of
Right.
helped me change my worldview. Honestly,
Jeremy will tell you about how much money I put into my shit.
Yeah,
my accountant
for
calls
all
me-
of us.
My accountant calls me all the time, and it's like, bro, what are you doing?
But
He's
since
like,
day one, you've done that.
Since
And
day- yeah,
it's
yeah.
something that I was naturally conservative with money because I get that from my dad.
Exactly.
So like now I'm learning how to like fight that and like learn it's okay to spend money to, you know, a good necessary risk is going to be worth it.
if you full-heartedly believe in it, you know what I mean? And listen, it's still a risk.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you don't ever know. It's like whoever coined the quote, but like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
Like, listen, I am a dreamer. Okay?
I thought I came up with that quote, and then I found out Wayne Gretzky said it.
Oh yeah.
I've seen like 100 names attached to that quote. I saw Jordan's name attached.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Well, he was quoting right.
That's cute.
I'm just gonna say that I came up with it too.
But I don't ever remember personally hearing it. I remember saying it to Danny O'Brien once, and Danny O'Brien, it was his Facebook quote.
Yeah.
And like gave me credit for it. And then one time I saw like Wayne Gretzky said it 20 years before me, and I was like, God damn it.
Osmosis. You got it through osmosis.
Yeah. So no. I'm sure I probably heard it when I was like a kid, and
Yeah.
just somehow got in there.
Yeah, it's one of those classic.
I called
lines.
Danny. He was heartbroken. he was like, damn.
And it's funny now that you took the risk for the business, something you believe in. Actually, what was probably more risky was continuing doing what you were doing because you were kind of seemed like your life just wasn't where you wanted it to be. What could be more risky than that? You waste your whole life doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's actually way more risky than like trying to get $50,000 for a business. Like what? Like
I feel like that's got to be so much of America. That's why there's so much mental health issues now. That's
Exactly.
why some
No
people
doubt.
do things they don't believe in,
Yeah.
and honestly might even not like,
And that's so
to make mediocre money.
Yeah.
So then they have to spend their money on something that gives them thrills. So then they lose that mediocre money and they go back to what they hate.
Yeah, they're scared to take the jump, the leap
Yeah.
of faith, and I get it. It's not easy. Like it rolls off the tongue easy talking about it here, but like it's but I know I'm built that way. Like again, having done some soul searching, find out who I really am. That's who I am.
Right.
I am somebody who like I think it's like my Instagram profile or something. Like I have that little quote underneath your name or whatever. It's like playing it safe is way too risky. Like
yeah, that's
like
It's a great quote.
That's not the
Yeah.
life I want. It might work for some people because I'm not knocking. I'm not a black and white. There's a right or a wrong.
Right.
But for me, if you find out who you truly are, then that gives you like the roadmap to go be that. Right. But if you don't know who you are, then you're just doing shit arbitrarily, and it might not be true to you. I learned. I'm not a guy who wants to play it safe. I want a peak experience. I want a guy who wants to put it out there, have something to care about, work towards it, earn it. I'm not a guy who wants to go get a cozy salary job, show up 9 to 5, do my job. That's just not me. That's cool for those. That's who people that,
Right.
that
And
work
for
for
some
them.
people, that if they're that, cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Credit to you for identifying that and doing that.
Yeah.
But there's people who do that who it's not them and they hate their lives every day.
Right.
Or there's people vice versa who are out here taking risks when they can't handle the pressure or the stress that comes with that.
Yes.
You should sign up for something else then.
Exactly.
So
Right.
having
That's like the shadow work, right? Like go back to that.
Exactly.
If somebody knows that they're coward with like financial stuff, cool. Get the 9 to 5 salary.
find out what works for
Yeah.
you. But first you got to find out who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes doing the work. But once you have a good understanding, and this is a fluid situation too, right? Like we can all grow and change and those things, but I just knew that I'm a dreamer. I got visions, and like my purpose, what I want out of life, what's going to make me feel alive each day, what's going to bring joy and happiness to me, what's going to basically be a great role model influence to my children is to go live this way and to go bring those visions to life, go bring those dreams. You know, like my dreams keep me up at night. Like I don't fall asleep easy because I'm thinking of all this shit I want to do.
Keep me up at night.
You know what I mean?
That's cool.
So I just, again, that's who I am. Still being, ADHD as an adult, like I've learned all these things that I didn't know before. Yeah. I know I need open space. I know I need movement. Like I know I'm built this way and this is how I can thrive. Not sit still, not stare at one thing all day, not, you know what I mean? So as I figured these things out about myself, I've been able to play into them. And now life is like so much more rewarding and like fruitful each day. And I do have a hard time, like I do confuse success with like love and happiness too, because those are like three things I want, but they're three vastly different things. Yeah. So like I always thought like if I can be successful, it'll bring more love and happiness to my life. That's not even what it is anymore for me, because the truth is you could be wildly successful, but if you're so focused on being successful, then you're neglecting like that love and those relationships that might bring fulfillment to you. So I just realized what I care about and putting the work in those areas to bring that back to me. But I had not known any of that prior to the depression stuff. I thought like I was doing things so untrue to me, like try to make a lot of money to be cool, to impress other people, to you know what I mean? Like I was just doing all these silly things. And
which
now,
even if you do is depressing.
What's that?
Even if you do make a lot of money to impress other people, that's still depressing.
Yeah, it's just it's unfulfilling, right? Like at least for me, I can't speak for anyone else, but it just
there's no way doing things for others is fulfilling. I mean,
unless you're helping.
Yes, unless you're helping. But if you're doing things for yourself to impress others, is what I should say.
Yeah. It's like the short term.
It's very short lived.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I feel really cool in this moment because I got more money and look good. But like,
eventually people use you up, and then you're like, all right, on to the next, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're using that energy towards those things, you're not using that energy towards building real, fulfilling relationships and like building the trust and love. So anyway, I had learned a lot of this stuff, and so it's cool to be on a path that aligns with who I really am for the first time, even at the age of 32. I'm 34 now, but you know what I mean? So like that's just one message I would want to put out there is, one, there's no timeline with this shit. Like I don't care that it took me a while to figure this shit out. I'm happy that I figured it out, because I think there's a lot of people that go a whole life that don't ever have any self-awareness to this degree, and I'm cool. I'm happy being like authentically myself for the first time, which is kind of painful to say that I hadn't been, but
it's so freeing though.
Yeah. Exactly. Like you guys can know the deepest, darkest secrets about me because I have accepted them about myself already. Yeah. And I'm cool because if you don't want to accept me at my rawest form, then I'm all good with you then. You know what I mean? That's cool. You don't have to accept me. I'm not looking for validation from anyone else.
Yeah. That's also a good energy too to bring. Yeah. Like you kind of have that.
Yeah. And
like natural confidence, not cocking it. Just, I know who I am. Here's me.
Yeah, you're not gonna tell me anything about myself that's gonna surprise me.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can't make fun of me and hurt my feelings anymore. You know what I mean? Like I've already cleaned up all that shit on the inside. You know what I mean? Like you can't hit a sensitive spot. I've already processed those things. Now listen, I am not completely polished with all this stuff, but I'm on the right
path. It's nonstop work.
Exactly.
Zig Ziglar has this awesome quote. I use it in our business meetings all the time because our whole thing, like we kill it, and it's all about personal development. Because before I go on a sidetrack on that, but anyways, Zig Ziglar says, like somebody asked him after one of his conferences, do you really think this motivation stuff really helps? If people got to do it every day? And he goes, I shower every day, and I still believe in bathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it never ends. You have to do the work every day.
That was the hard part for me, was like there's no end game, and realizing that there is no arrival to any of this shit, right? Like there's no I got to figure it out. Oh, I know exactly who I am now. I'm good. I'm done trying to learn. Like it just doesn't stop. And so I had a hard time with that because
you got to learn to love the process.
Yeah, right.
The most successful people always say, if you learn to love the process and not the end of the journey, you'll always be successful and happy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's precisely like. For me, I actually have it written down here. Like overcoming ignorance is the point of my journey. Like for me, it's continuing to evolve, learn, grow, and in turn, because the byproduct of doing this is I just said I identified what I want to be, who I want to be. I want to touch the lives of other people in a positive way in the world and all this. I'm not looking to save the world. I know I'm not capable of that, but I'm capable of quite a bit. And so I can't go do what I want to go do if I don't continue to overcome that ignorance, right? And so that is the journey right there within itself, is continuing to do that. And so it doesn't come easy. It does require work, just like anything else in life that's worth having, right? Like, you're about to get married. Like, don't think you just sign on that dotted line and then it's all good from there. Like, you still got to put the work in every day to have a fulfilling marriage. You know what I mean? Like, anything valuable requires the work. Like, I've tried to shortcut things too many times. So this journey I'm on is fun. It's exciting. It's challenging, right? The more self-aware you get, it doesn't get any easier. It almost becomes more difficult, right? Like, ignorance is bliss. Like, the less you know, the easier. However, it's at least a life true to me, and that's what's fulfilling,
Another thing, too, is for anybody listening that's just starting this path or hasn't, or even that's far in it, one thing you'll learn is that if you ever do get to a point where you can stop, and you do, it becomes super unfulfilling. So, like, in business, I got this huge promotion, and then, like, I didn't feel like I was putting as much sweat equity in because technically I didn't have to. The business started becoming super, like, stagnant to me and like, not fulfilling. And then I was like, I'm going to start going back to, like, 60, 70-hour weeks and, like, being super hands-on and putting the work in. And now I, like, love it again. But it's one of those things where...
And the whole division responded.
Oh, my God. And now, like, we're fucking killing it.
Yeah. Just great.
Which is great. Yeah,
That's awesome.
We grew by 58.5% last year, and we're, like, on pace to crush that this year. We're, like, one of the top teams in the country now. But it's just funny is... almost when you can relax is when you definitely shouldn't. For anybody that's, like, listening, like, if you ever want the work to end, when it does, you're going to be super depressed and bored.
Yeah.
And you have to find something to always
find
be working
that new
on.
challenge.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Something to drive. You need that purpose. You need that, like, what am I waking up for every day?
Joe Paterno died, like, a week after, or, like, right after he retired. Like literally, like, within a week of him.
Who's that?
Joe Paterno.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, as soon as he retired, he was dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I always call it, like, the North Star. Like, you need something that you're trying to get to each day. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get to the North Star, but you need to at least have direction, right?
Yeah.
A direction each day, each morning. And again, who you want to be, what you want to do, what you want it to look like.
Just thinking about, too, based on what you were saying, I naturally avoided risk growing up, like, very conservative mindset, so to speak, in terms of life in general. Just being happy with what you're doing. I have to put myself in uncomfortable situations to make myself get better.
Exactly.
So, like, that's something I've learned, from, like, music school the last 5 years. It's like I have to make myself do it. Like, going from bartending with you guys, like, I just have to put myself in a position where I don't have an option but to be uncomfortable and step up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with me, I'll get lazy and I'll just coast. And then you don't want to look back on your life.
It's a trap, yeah.
Exactly.
It's a trap.
So it's, like, kind of my trap.
We all fall into it, right? Because the easy, cozy life is not always the most fulfilling life,
exactly.
right?
I get more depressed, like, watching movies on a Sunday inside, not out in the sun, talking with people, helping anyway, whatever you have going on.
That's another reason why people are depressed, too. Nobody gets sunshine anymore.
Yeah, you're just inside.
Seriously, the vitamin D deficiency in America, even before COVID, was crazy. And then after COVID, they told everybody to stay inside. Vitamin D, if you don't get enough of that, makes you depressed and your immune system weak, and then you get sick and you get more depressed.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is, like, one of the best cures for depression.
That goes back to what I'm saying, though. Like, if you don't know that you're even deprived of things that are good for you, then you're not seeking them out, right? Like, if you're not looking for how to grow, how to get better, who you are, then you don't even know what you're missing. You don't even know, like, the beautiful side of life anymore. You know what I mean? And so that's why I always just say, like, wake up, do the work, figure it out, and trust me, it will reward you.
And speaking of the work, when you went into, actually decide to open up the shop, were you using, like, money from your other job to try to get a loan and, like, all that kind of stuff, like, just on the fundamental side of the business? Like, what kind of prompted here's what I need? What was your game plan, so to speak, to execute getting the shop?
Yeah, so I built a business plan, again, which wasn't my style. Like, for me, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to write this shit down. I was like, I'm going to do this the right way. I borrowed a good amount of money to do this. And going back to the gambling thing, but no qualms about it. Like, no sweat. Like, all good. Like, I'm borrowing money for something that could make me a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not borrowing money to pay off somebody.
That's a positive investment.
Like, I'm all good. I'll borrow this money over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll use someone else's money to get rich. Like, all day.
Yeah.
You know? Now, listen, there's stress and pressure that comes with that, but I've gone through this shit. Like,
right.
I know how to handle it. I know that it's all good. It's money. It comes and it goes. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to look at the dollar signs and get stressed out about it. I need to put my head down and keep working to where those dollar signs go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or come into my pocket instead of the bank. So, the best part about owning the business is I'm in control. Like, I'm betting on myself now.
Right.
And that's what I love about it. Like, Dion Waiters, he's a Syracuse basketball player, played in Miami. I think he might be retired now, but he's got a saying. It's like, bet on yourself and double down. And that's exactly where I'm at. It's like, I used to bet on these games where I had no clue what the outcome was going to be.
And you can't influence it.
You can't influence it. You're just there for the ride, right? Now I'm betting on myself. And I can influence the outcome. This is cool now.
Yeah.
Like, this, let's go. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, I'm excited about this shit now. It's on me. And listen, win or lose, I'm not afraid to fail. Like I said, I mean, you heard a little bit of my story. I've failed over and over and over again. And, like, that's one of my sayings too that I live by, but like, failures are prerequisite for success.
Yeah.
So
every adversity, I use this quote all the time in business too, is every adversity has an equal and opposite opportunity. That's from Think and Grow Rich. But it's like, every time something shitty happens, I always think, okay, cool, this is gonna help me with something in the future. So like, you're gambling, your depression, that helps you with business.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it. Like, suffering ceases to be suffering the minute you find the meaning of it, right? Like, why am I suffering? Oh, this is why. Okay, it's not suffering anymore. There's an opportunity for growth. There's an opportunity to learn right now.
No,
so like,
awesome.
A lot of people are in tough spots and they feel bad about it, and that's natural. Of course, I felt bad when I was in tough spots all the time. But now when I'm in a tough spot, some little bit of adversity, like my pops always told me, like, your character is not who you are when everything's going your way. Your character is who you are when you're facing adversity. So anytime I face adversity, I basically, and I truthfully do this, like, I'll look in the mirror and I'll look at myself and say, Luke, who are you? You have an opportunity to find out, because you're dealing with some shit right now. You got some shit on your plate. Let's go find out who you are. And I don't got to just prove it to anyone, but I got to prove it to myself.
Right.
And so then that's my motivation, is I'm not folding in this situation. I'm not going to let the pressure get to me. Let's go find out who I am.
You know what happens though? And this will be from somebody who went through that and then now has to learn the opposite, is what I learned about myself is I do not fold in difficult situations. But there's a quote by Abraham Lincoln. Most men can stand adversity. A true test of a man's character is when he gets power. So like, when that gets huge and you franchise and you have all the money,
that's a real test.
Then it's like,
a real test.
It's like a test in the other direction.
In order to get to that, though, you have to first stand the adversity, and then it's like, because how many people, I mean, I met somebody in my business that like get to a certain point and just become lazy pieces of shit, and then start becoming like more, unethical and stuff. So it's actually super true that like, once, let's say you start franchising and there's purple bananas all over the country. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, how do I still make sure that I keep doing the work? Because if we keep doing the work, everything takes care of itself.
No doubt. Like, the old me would have started to taste some money and like bought nice cars and shown it off and like, look at this successful business owner I am. Like, let me reap all these benefits. I'm lucky I've gone through what I've gone through, because I got no interest in doing that shit once I start making some real money and all those things. I got a plan. But, again, we're throwing out sayings and whatnot, but like, I think it's, a saying where it's like, money doesn't change people, it just makes you more of who you are, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you were like a selfish scumbag and you got a bunch of money, like, you're gonna act like
now
a selfish
you can be
scumbag.
a selfish scumbag.
Yeah, but if you were broke, you couldn't do that stuff, right?
Because you need somebody to pay you to do shit. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the opportunity to see, right, when I have a little bit more money, have a little bit more power. But I know that day's coming, and I'm already prepared for it, right?
Yeah,
I already know what I want to do with it when I have that situation. Like, listen, my business is not. We're 3 months in. You know what I mean? We're not crushing it by any stretch yet, right? It's 3 months in, but I'm still doing everything I said I was going to do. I'm still donating to charities. I'm still doing events. I'm in the community. Like, this thing is not just for me to get rich.
Do you ever team up with HUD's got the Just Juice It?
Yeah, we're talking about doing some stuff.
He does like a healthy juice thing, right?
Yeah, he's got some juices. He's got a little. He's more mobile than me. He's got like a food truck type deal.
Okay.
I'm brick and mortar, but yeah, we've been talking. I'm all about working with other small businesses.
Can you have him sell your acai bowls? And like, we have purple banana acai bowls, and you give him a percent of it or something?
Yeah. So actually, that was the exact conversation I had with him. Was, dude, maybe you start selling some acai bowls. I'm all good. I don't need to make any money off of it. My name gets out there more. You know what I mean?
It's like advertising.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'll break even on it. You reap the profit here and just get my name out. Like, again,
yeah.
And I got to catch myself because I'm not like this crazy polished business owner. And I am, if I'm going to fail, it's going to be because I'm too generous, right? Like, I'm paying my employees too much because I want to take care of them. I'm doing so much.
I was going to say, you should probably keep some portion of it, though. Like,
yeah,
so hey, you sell it, it'll be my marketing, but I keep 25-50%.
Yeah, I'll work through that stuff.
Yeah.
I realize I do have to, like, think from a business owner
because
standpoint, not like a charity standpoint all the time.
Is you can't help the world unless you help yourself.
Exactly. You know and that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning. There's a guy named Adam Weitzman out there from Syracuse. This guy's like
sounds familiar.
Billionaire with a B, and all he does with his money is quality things, like taking care of people. Like, the dude, I mean, I'm telling you, he basically replaced all my role models, because all my role models were like rappers and athletes and shit. And then this dude actually had some money and is just doing crazy positive things out there. He came to my place. He came and showed up like he said he was gonna. Spent some time with me. Like, I'm telling you, this dude has more money than he knows what to do with, and all he does is spend it on other people to take care of him. He's really big in the restaurant industry, small business. He's all Syracuse. So, like, you know what I mean? He's trying to put the whole city on. Just a great dude.
Is Conjal still, like, around in Syracuse, like, still basically owning everything? Bob Conjal?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
He's a guy like owns like Destiny and like basically, it's like Pyramid or something.
Yeah. Pyramid still owns Destiny. So I mean that's one of the bigger property companies out there. But so either way, for me, I know my path and I'm on it, which is cool. And like, I do believe like giving is one of the greatest human pleasures out there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny. I got a 4-year-old and like we use the analogy is like we all have a bucket, right? Like, I'll fill your bucket by saying nice things or giving you something, you know, like, but when you fill someone else's bucket.
Did you ever listen to Jesse Itzler?
No, I'm not sure who that is.
You're going to love him. That he's like my Adam Weitzman, basically.
Really?
But he actually uses these terminologies.
Yeah, it's like little kid shit, but like,
it's so true.
It makes sense. Like, my bucket gets filled when I fill your bucket. I don't have to do anything but fill your bucket, and in turn my bucket gets filled. So why would I want to keep doing, you know what I mean? So like, again, back to what we keep saying, but I can't take care of other people if I don't get the business right. You know what I mean? Like, if I am not a business owner first, then I don't have a business to take care of other people with. But the greater this business is, the more successful it is, the more people I can take care of. So it's just that balancing act too. But again, I'm young in the game. I'm on a mission. I don't believe I can be stopped, but that's my biggest asset. Our greatest assets, I believe all of us, is education and our relentlessness, right? If we can continue to take in information, and if we refuse to give up and stop, then we can't be stopped.
That's good shit.
Like, money is not an asset to me. Money's not an asset to me because I can run out of that shit, you know? But I can't run out of effort. I can't run out of learning. You know what I mean? So even if my first business fails, I'll absorb all the lessons I can, like I have with everything else, like getting arrested at a young age, depression, the whole nine. Absorb all the lessons I can, and now I'm that much better off for whatever's next. And if I don't stop doing shit, then I can't be stopped. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, that's just where I'm at with it. Now, I want this business to be successful. I expect it to be successful, but I'm not afraid to fail either, because I would never do this shit if I was. That's what holds most people back.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why you'll probably be successful, because you're not afraid to fail.
And another thing too is, I don't know your belief system on like a higher power. I think I kind of do, but Robert Greene, he wrote like 48 Laws of Power and stuff. He wrote this book called The Laws of Human Nature, which I'm reading now. And he said, basically a study of all successful people, whether they expressed it vocally or not, all believed that they were destined to succeed in greatness.
Yep.
And they believed that like God had put it in their destiny.
Yep.
Basically, like they might not even express it to anybody, might even tell people they don't believe in God, but like they always believe that they were destined for greatness from like the higher power.
Yeah, it's real. Like, it's something you feel on the inside, whether it's verbalized or not.
But you have to find your purpose. You have to be okay with your shadows.
That's the crazy part is, I was living this lie of I'm an idiot. They got A's, I got D's, I'm dumb. They went, they graduated, I didn't, whatever. To where I am now, and it's like I can't be stopped. Like I'm actually.
Once you start thinking that, you won't be.
And I don't want to come off the wrong way, but my confidence is sky high. I feel like I'm the furthest thing from an idiot. I feel like I'm one of the few that actually has this shit like in the right spot, like mentally and with the focus and determination. And I may not be the smartest guy out there, but like I said, you can't stop me from keep taking in information, and you can't stop me from continuing to try and try and try. You can't stop me from doing that. So we'll see where I land, but it's certainly a fun ride now that I'm on the right path. You know, where again I was certainly on the wrong one for quite a bit of time.
Yeah. I mean, oh shit, we're almost at the end. We just realized we've been on for an hour 14. But so what's next for you, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually?
Yeah, so it's funny you name all those 4 because I believe those 4 have to grow together, right? Like I just truly believe if like mentally you're struggling, but you're like in the gym every day or something, you can only go so far physically.
Right.
Like spiritually, all of them. So it's really those 4 pillars that I think need to grow together. Mm-hmm. And so where, I don't know. I just know growing those 4 will decide. Right?
I think
like,
if you don't grow them together, a building lopsided falls over eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, like when I was in deep, dark depression, I was still working out and feeling good physically, but even that went to the wayside. Like even like that was my last saving grace of feeling some sort of happiness in my life. Was like I can be proud, like I'm in great physical shape, I feel good, I look good, whatever. But I was so going backwards mentally that I no longer had the mental strength to even go to the gym anymore, and that shit fell down. So, like, again, it's just growing those 4 pillars together. And what's next? I'll tell you this. When I get this business right, like this is like the flagship location, when I get it right, and we're doing great now, but it just needs time, right? There's opportunity, whether it be more locations, whether it be franchising, whether it be another business venture, knowing what I know now. There's just going to be opportunity. It's already knocking on my doorstep. It's funny because you look at my business, place is packed, people are in there, happy customers, looks awesome, the whole 9. People are already coming to me, hey, let's go in business together, let's do this. I'm like, yo, little do you know, I'm winging this shit, you know what I mean? Right. But like, truthfully, opportunity is going to come knocking. If you just continue to put your head down and just believe that it's going to come. So I don't have, like, my new motto is like flow, not force, right? So like, it will flow to whatever's next. I don't want to have it be like this one thing and it's that or bust. It's like, it's going to be something beautiful. It's
what flows survives.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard. It's like a conscious effort each day to let things flow and not try to control so much. But that's where my head is at. Is if I focus on those 4 pillars, grow those 4 things, then something's going to come. Whatever's next is going to be even greater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hyper-focused right now. And, man, I got a passion for what I do. Like,
because you got that North Star now.
I got it. That's it. And I encourage anyone to go find it. And, like, even, like, if there's just a message to put out there.
It's never too late.
Yeah. There's one, it's never too late. And 2, even if you don't fit in the box that you currently sit in, whether it be the education system, the job you're at, the family. I mean, unlearning is one of the hardest things to do and one of the most important things we do. Because we literally just have become the messages from our preachers, from our teachers, from our parents, from our friends. We have all just molded into those messages we got. How often have we really looked for our own true messages?
Right.
Like, do I even believe in this shit? Do I even want to work for... Like, half the companies out there, if you looked at it morally, you probably wouldn't even want to work for them if you realized who they truly were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, you're like, oh, I need this paycheck, so I'm going to keep doing it. It's like, well, maybe that's why you're fucking miserable. You know what I mean?
That's why the world is the way it is.
Yeah.
So many people aren't following their passion. They aren't authentic, so they're doing something else, so then they have secret intentions. It goes back to being authentic.
And it's a risk for them. And they may be risk-averse. They're like, well, I'm not going to go just chase my passion because I'll be broke and I don't know how to do it. I'm not saying quit your job today and go chase your passion tomorrow. I'm saying build a plan to go align with yourself. Whatever that may be. Build a plan.
That's great advice.
Build a plan and do it. An exit strategy to what's not aligning with you right now. You know, whether it be the current relationship you're in, whether it be your job. You know, it could be anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That is awesome.
That's literally like right as we end it too. So that's a great way to end it, guys. Is you heard it here from Nico, Luke Nicolette, owner of Purple Banana, soon to be franchised. Find your North Star and then build a plan.
That's it.
That's it, man.
Everything comes second to the dream, man. Once you find that dream, that North Star, everything comes second.
And I want to thank Mike, as always. Radio X, I always call Gwinnett Radio X, Business RadioX. Awesome host, and the studio is great. And Jeremy and Luke Nicolette, man. Another episode of Free Game, free unrestricted conversation, game, life, advice. Hopefully everybody got something from this.